Privilege is something that gives someone an advantage, right? When we think about privilege in terms of society, it's the people that can access good jobs, good healthcare, you have good networks that can help you in life. So we want to talk about how you redefine that. For me, it's social capital.
Oh,
Girl, it's all about social capital. It's your personal brand. It's when people think of you, what are the first three words that come to mind? It's how people feel about you. Good managers should be encouraging you to say, this is your work. I'd like you to present it. I'd like them to know that you're the one responsible for this, and then they can ask you questions and you're best placed to answer those questions. That's a good manager, right? They should make sure that you feel ready. Let's be honest, what you think, that's you. That's on you. What I think is on me. How I behave, I'm responsible for that. How you react to my behavior is your responsibility. But you're not responsible if I swore at you right now. You're like, what on earth is wrong? But it's true, what on earth is wrong with her? Because it's not on you that I'm having a go at you or that I'm rude to you. That's on me. People notice a lot more than we think they are. They notice. And a lot less of the things that we think they notice. Welcome back to the Gift in the Future podcast, where we make decisions today to empower tomorrow. I'm your host, I'm Mary De Silva.
And I'm Crystal. So I believe last week we spoke about Mind That Gap, which we talk about gaps in health inequalities, CV gaps, attainment. My favorite one was a curiosity gap, which I really liked. But today we're obviously hoping to dwell into a lot more, just dissect a few things here and there. So we're going to go through...
redefining privilege.
Thank you. So, Mary, when you talk about redefining privileges, what kind of privileges are you talking about? Before we even go to the redefining, what are privileges to you?
Yes, I think let's not go. There's no dictionaries here, so let's just keep it simple. Privilege is something that gives someone an advantage, right? So, when we think about privilege in terms of society, it's the people that can access good jobs, good healthcare, you have good networks that can help you in life. So yeah, that's privilege. So in terms of today's episode, we want to talk about how you redefine that.
Okay, go ahead. So how do you redefine privileges? I mean, privilege in the workplace, privileges, family. I mean, how do you redefine it?
I think for me, it's social capital.
Oh.
Girl, it's all about social capital.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So you think if you are, let's say you're brought up really rich, your parents have all this great networks, people that, in the industry that can help you. If you still have a role to play, right? If I have a business and your child wants to have work experience, you'd be like, oh, I know Mary, she owns a business, come. That child still has to play their part, right?
Yeah.
Because I can take you for an internship, but will I offer you a permanent job afterwards?
It's true.
You still got a part to play. So redefining privilege is, if you have it, you need to know how to keep it. If you don't have it, you need to learn how to try and get some. So social capital is typically how you would gain privilege if you're not born with it.
I guess for those who don't know social capital, what is social capital then?
All right. So how I define it is your ability to make and keep respect with others.
Oh.
So it's when you walk into a room, what's the feeling that people get? Is it, oh God, here she comes again? Or, oh, Mary, yes, I've got something I wanted to speak to her about. Or, can I pick your brain? Yes, you know that one. It's how people feel about you. And I think one thing, the example I always give to people, especially young people to help bring this to life is, when you have social capital, people forgive your misdeeds, your mistakes easily. So if I know that you are hardworking, I know that you are 100% passionate about your job, but you make a mistake, as your manager, I'm going to cover that up. I am going to own it. It's not Crystal,
just
it becomes
me,
we did this and we fixed it. Let's move on. Like I'm shutting it down, right? Because you've built you've proved yourself that I know it's out of character for you to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Let's say you came in one day and you snapped at someone like, oh, pee off, right? Everyone will be like, Crystal doesn't normally use colourful language. But because we know you don't normally use colourful language, you're normally this smiley, happy, almost high on something kind of person.
Yeah, I'm high on a lot of things. A lot.
We would forgive that. We would kind of like make a joke about it, like, somebody has something like that. And then we just, But if it's someone who is always grumpy, is always rude, very disrespectful, doesn't keep to time, we literally have nothing left for them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that social capital is so important. So I always give that example because I think that's one that people can relate to. You want to build social capital. It's about, you and I talk about your personal brand, right? We also talk about your executive brand, but for the purpose of this, it's your personal brand. It's when people think of you, what are the three words, the first three words that come to mind?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want, what do you want people to think of when they think, what the words that should come to mind? If you want people to see you as someone who's very conscientious, someone who is dedicated to delivering and quality delivery, you've got a role to play, right? You're not going to be seen as someone who's dedicated to quality if every time you write, people are having to use red pen to say,
cross.
Right?
Okay, but can't people then pretend or fake it? If that makes sense. So there's not naturally them, they're just faking it.
Yeah, of course.
How would you then spot that? Because that's not really true social capital then, because they're just showing you what you want to see. And you clearly, if you've told me that you like people are confident, what if I'm just pretending to be confident and just so to get in your good books? Like, how would you know? Yeah.
I don't think confidence is going to make or break, right? As long as you know how to hold your own. You don't have to go into a room and be like, all eyes on me, right? That's not going to make or break your social capital. But in terms of faking it, yes, you're right. Some people will fake. So you can't fake things like being hardworking, right? Because if you're lazy, you're lazy. But you could, for example, be passing off someone's work as your own. So that could be faking it. Yeah. In terms of behavioral, I think it's difficult because it's, what's that saying? Leopard never changes its spots or whatever it is.
I think I've heard that. I know what you're talking about,
People will start to see through the thing that's not you that you're trying to pretend to be. So behavioral, I don't think so. But in terms of quality, you can pass off somebody else's work as your own. And we know that happens at work. Say no more,
direct,
right? Yeah. But I think in terms of who you are, what you bring, you can't fake that. Most relationships start with a degree of grace. Some people will give you a degree of grace and trust. Yeah. It's a very basic degree. You're going to need to work. That social capital is you working to say, I deserve more, right? Yeah. And then when you've built it, the way they will react to your mistakes will be different to the way they will react to somebody who doesn't have that same level of social capital. They'll be like, no, let's not talk about that. I've spoken to Mary, sorted. Let's move on, right? Yeah. Think about who is speaking for you in the rooms that you don't have access to.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. And why are they speaking up for you? They must feel compelled to speak for you. Yeah. No one is here defending you. You're not in a room. No one is going to be here defending you, fighting for you to get that promotion, get that new job, or be put on that project to gain experience. You're not even in the room. You don't have access to anyone else in the room. So no one's going to say, oh, by the way, it was this person that said I shouldn't give it to you. Yeah. No one's going to tell you that. So it's a social capital that you've built that means that people will speak for you in the rooms that you don't have access to.
That is such a big thing as well. And I guess so social capital is seen as relationship building, right? Building a relationship with the right people, so not just anyone. Yeah. And can you, this might be a bit of me being a bit nosy, but can you give me an example of like time that you have built social capital with someone and how that actually benefited you?
Yeah. So in a previous role, I was head of reward analytics, and we produced, let's own it. I produced, I think it was a dashboard, and the data behind it hadn't been refreshed. So someone on the exec noticed, oh, wait a minute, let's say it was May's dashboard. This looks very familiar to April's dashboard, right? I wasn't obviously in that exec meeting. But then when it was told to me, it was like, oh, by the way, it looks like you forgot to refresh the data. But we all laughed because like, oh, Mary obviously did all the work. We bet at the back of it, all the work has been done. She just didn't refresh the pivots, right? Yeah. But that's it. I wasn't in the room. And when it was told to me, it wasn't told to me as, you made me look stupid in that meeting. It was like, did you forget something? Yeah. I'm like, no, what? Because I know that I'd worked on it. I know that I'd pulled fresh reports, put it all in the background. Like, yeah, May's report is looking very similar to April's. I'm like, what? Then I open it, I'm like, oh, craps. And then the person standing over me and I'm like, look at what I didn't do. And I literally just went to the pivots tab, refreshed all, and guess what? All the charts. They're like, we kind of figured out that's what you do because we know you're a bit of a perfectionist. So they're like, that's fine. Just send it. I've told them that we're going to circulate it. So just send it to me, copy everyone else in, and that's fine. And it didn't need to be represented. But because they all knew how much of a perfectionist I was, they were like, I can't wait to see her face when you tell her this one. Yeah. That's it. Okay. everything you deliver, I'm not saying it always has to be perfect, but people can sense the passion behind your delivery. If people can sense, I'm not here for no nonsense, I'm not here to give you crap, I'm not trying to skive my way to do the minimum possible and get the most amount of money that you can pay me. Even when you do make a mistake, before you're having to own it, people are like, sorted, just fix it and send it to us.
And is this a skill? Would you see this as a skill then?
I think there is a skill there. I mean, definitely, relationship building, stakeholder management, those are real skills. And, I think when you first start off, we think the way to win the hearts of our seniors is to be people pleasing.
Oh gosh, you need to talk more
that's
about
a skill.
that.
Yeah, that's a skill. That's a skill that needs to be learned because a CEO walks through, oh God, what's on my screen? It's not Facebook, is it, right?
Yes.
But the CEO is not going to come round to the back of your desk, right?
Yeah.
It's be free.
So
acknowledge them. Hi, Peter. Hi, Paul. Hi, Michael. Hi, Sheila. Whoever they are.
Yeah.
But be free. Let them start to see you for who you are in terms of your behavioural. And the opportunity presents itself when you can get your work in front of them. I would say go one further. If you have a great manager, if you are at the level where you're producing work that is intended for that level of audience, a good manager should eventually be encouraging. I'm not saying the first time you produce it, like, do you want to present it to Exco? That's not not appropriate.
Yeah.
Once you've been doing it for a while, a good manager should be encouraging you to say, this is your work. I'd like you to present it. I'd like them to know that you're the one responsible for this, and then they can ask you questions, and you're best placed to answer those questions. That's a good manager, right? They should make sure that you feel ready. I say things to you all the time, like, when you're ready, I'd like you to start doing this and taking that. Yeah. But I don't force it. I don't enforce it because I know there's a lot that goes in the background about, oh my God, who am I going to be talking to? How am I going to say it? What if I stumble? Guess what? I stumble. Everyone stumbles on words. Yeah. The CEO stumbles. Just own it. If you say the wrong thing, say the right thing. Move on. People won't even remember what you said. Do you ever come out of a meeting and remember verbatim what that person said when they were presenting?
No, really,
impossible.
No,
what you would take away is the messaging. What's pertinent stuff. What did they want you to take away? That's probably what, hopefully, if they've done a good presentation, that's what you're going to take away. So yes, it's the relationship building. It's the stakeholder management. And stakeholder management is knowing the who are all your different stakeholders, and the hows. How do you service those different? So what I mean by that is, if I'm writing something for exec, and it's got to be sharp, concise, they probably want figures, they want data behind, and they want a recommendation. But if I then take it one level down in terms of my peers, other heads of, I'm going to give them a bit more detail because they are now closer to operational as well as strategic. At the exec level, they're all strategic. They just want to know, give it to me quick, right? But if I'm now servicing the heads of, I'm going to give them a little bit more, but not too much more. Again, they're intelligent, they probably have context already. And then if I now bring it down to manager level, I'm going to give them even more because they are the ones that direct reports are going to knock on their door and say, HR have said this. Can you tell me more about this? How's this going to impact me? They need more of the detail, right? The context. So it's about knowing who and then the how. What does this group of stakeholders, what do they want from me? How do they want it? Do they want that? How do they consume their data? Do they want it short, sharp? Do they want it short, sharp, but give the detail in the appendix? Again, sometimes it's by stakeholder groups and sometimes it's determined by the organization. So some organizations always have appendices. Other organizations are like, nah, just give it to us, give it short, sharp. If we want anything else, we'll ask you to present it at the next meeting. So it's about understanding the group, but also the culture of the organization that you're operating in.
Okay, and with the amount of years of experience that you've got,
it's not that much. You make me sound old. Let's just put it out there.
I know, but
I'm not that old.
Okay, she's not old, but it's just she has a lot of experience. Let's just say that you can have a lot of experience sometimes in a short amount of time. But with just what I guess you've experienced, because of course as a contractor you've worked for quite different organizations. And have you come across any, especially people in the early careers, like anyone who struggles with this social capital? And why do you think that is? Because you spoke about people pleasing. And I guess we're brought up to think that you have to do a lot of people pleasing, right, in order to get promoted or whatever it is, you have to basically do everything.
I think sometimes, especially early careers, people are very aware of what they perceive to be their shortcomings. What I mean by that is, if you know that everyone else around your table went to Russell Group Uni and you're like, I didn't go to Russell Group Uni, let's be honest, those people around your table, unless you've told them, probably don't know.
Yeah.
HR knows, but they don't know that you didn't go. But because you're aware of it, you then start to let that play out in terms of how you relate to them. Oh my God, they must all be posh. Oh my God, they must all be intelligent. So you're moderating your behavior based on your perception of how people are looking at you. So that's a real thing. And I think, look, a lot of this, we develop as humans. We evolve as humans, and with age, certain things. I mean, we joke about when you get to about 60, for example, you don't really care what other people think. You say it as you mean it.
Yeah.
That's because you've learned over the years. And actually, there's no value in that. Let's be honest. What you think, that's you. That's on you. What I think is on me. How I behave, I'm responsible for that. How you react to my behavior is your responsibility. But you're not responsible if I swore at you right now. You'd be like, what on earth is wrong? But it's true. What on earth is wrong with her? Because it's not on you that I'm having a go at you or that I'm rude to you. That's on me. So I think when you're early careers, you tend to be younger. So you're learning these things. So you're mindful of, perceived differences. You're also not sure in terms of values. What do they place higher? So you're learning that. You're learning that as you learn your role and the organization. And the other thing is you're learning who are the key decision makers. At least you should be learning who the key. And I'm not saying you suck up, but let's be honest. If decisions are being made and that person's going to be making a decision, not this person, you're spending a lot of your time making sure this person sees how great you are, but your back is turned to that person. It's not favoritism that they don't pick you. They just have no view of what you do. No idea of what value you bring to the table. So that they're like, well, I don't know that person. You want to get to the point where your name is said, people smile. Like, oh, yeah, I know that one. Bit of a troublemaker, fire starter, but yeah, she gets the work done. That's where you want to get to.
And how do you go about doing that then?
Again, people are always surprised when I say I'm an introvert. I think you see it now.
You're not an introvert, but
you do see it now. Sometimes when in the office, I'm like,
of course,
I just need my time. But even as an introvert, I don't go to like work dues. It's not my thing, right?
She doesn't.
But in the office, if I need to liaise with you, you're going to feel Mary. You're going to feel my personal and executive brand. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to listen. You're probably coming to me because you think that HR have done something wrong. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to validate what you've said. And I'm going to say, okay, so this is a problem that I'm hearing. This is the outcome that I'm hearing from you. Have I understood that right? Okay, so based on the problem and the outcome, this is what we're going to do. And it's always we. I don't care who my team has done whatever you're complaining about. And I will personally make sure I email you to say it's been done. So when that then happens, that sequence that I've told you is going to happens, you're like, oh, okay. She's someone who does what she says she's going to do. I built social capital with you. I didn't have to suck up to you. I didn't have to deny anything that we did wrong, that we didn't do wrong. I've just owned the problem and I've said, okay, this is what we're going to do to fix. So sometimes it's not even that you need any big bang moments. Oh my God, when we have the end of year due, I'm going to dance so that the CEO can notice me or whatever it is, right? And we know you're a good dancer, but you don't even need that, right? Sometimes is in how you handle conflict. Let's say you're at the reception, the CEO is coming in and the delivery guy comes in and he's swearing. It's like, don't you people see that it's raining? You've locked the doors. I've gotten where you're like, I'm so sorry. I'm not the receptionist, but who is it that you're trying to deliver to? Which business? There's a few businesses in this building. That person isn't paying attention. Like, oh, that guy was just swearing at her. She's handled that really well. Guess what? If he saw you with me, next time he sees me, who is the girl that was with you? You probably are not even going to be aware that conversation happens, right? People notice a lot more than we think they are. They notice, and a lot less of the things that we think they notice.
Oh, can you repeat that?
So what people are noticing, they're noticing a lot more than what we think they're noticing, but a lot less of the things that we think they're noticing. Your CEO is probably not remembering what shirt you wore. You probably walked past him, but if they said, oh, do you remember what Crystal wore? Like,
who's Crystal?
No, he definitely knows who you are at this point. Remember, we worked on the social capital, but it's like, I think it was black, but he doesn't remember if it was patterned or stripes, right? Because that's not important. But he acknowledged you and knew who you are. He knows that he's seen you today. Why does the colour of your shirt matter? You're not a missing person. That's when we need to know what you're wearing. So don't go missing.
I'll not go missing.
Because the CEO won't know what you're wearing.
As the moral of the story, the whole point of today's episode is don't go missing.
If you're going to go missing, take a picture so people know what you're wearing.
No, that's fair enough. But my thing is that I know even when I started working, it was, I guess, the power difference. You can see that this person is the CEO and you're literally like an assistant. How do you go about even building that social capital? I know I don't have to go directly to the CEO to be talking to him. I mean, it feels impossible anyways, because you feel like at the stage that you're at, like, what, do you get it? Where's the audacity? Like,
you have those water cooler moments, as they call it. You meet the CEO in the kitchen, so why? So just acknowledge them.
That's my point. Then there's a more deeper thing that there is. Like, I think it might be how we're brought up or your background again.
Oh,
again, like your parenting. Yeah, exactly.
I know where you're going with this.
Well, you know where I'm going, because
I know where you're going with this. Okay, so there is something there. It's called the Ofsted cultural dimensions. So your culture and how you've been raised does play into how you perceive and relate to power distance. So it's well known that Asian and African cultures, for example, there is a high degree of power distance. So when we see someone who is in a position of power, or they have money that obviously also suggests power, the way we treat them is different. Oh, come, sir. Yeah, please. Yeah, we do that.
Was it servanthood that you called it? What was the servant?
Power. Something? Yeah, there's a bit of that, but it's called a power distance. That's the Ofsted cultural dimensions. So there is that. And I think if you are operating in a different cultural context than the one that you've been raised, you need to be really mindful of that, because, and what I mean by that is be mindful of how you've been raised in your cultural dimensions, but also be mindful of where you're operating now. So if cultural, which isn't, in this culture, there's no power distance, right? No one cares about that stuff. It's really what you bring to the table. But if you come from a high degree of power distance, you're probably going to play that into your CEO. Your CEO is going to think, that person doesn't seem very approachable.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily understand that in your culture, you don't make eye contact with people of power, like, you know, or whatever it is. Learn the context that you're in and work in that context.
Okay.
Right?
So let's just use an example now of Nigerians and, let's say, British, English people, right? Back home, there is that power distance. Yeah. So if you see a CEO, you literally have to,
of course,
basically, please them in some way to get some sort of promotion, right? Yeah. But in the UK, it's just your work ethic. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's problematic, not just in the workplace. I think back in the 90s, there was a lot of research done into African students, especially, and they weren't making eye contact with teachers.
Why?
Because in African cultures, you don't make eye contact with your superiors, your elders. Because it's seen as being rude. You're challenging me. Oh, look, he's even looking in my eyes.
You're looking at me face to face.
Right? So when they went to school, they recognized that Miss and Sir, they are their superiors. So they weren't making eye contact. But in the English context, it's like, are you being dishonest? Why can't you look me in the eye? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's only when they started to do the research and talk to their parents and understand, no, where they're coming from, it's a sign of respect. They're not looking at your eyes because they see you as this, topmost person. It's like, so it's not that these people were being dishonest or even being naughty. It's just that they respected you and thought, oh God, I can't possibly look into your eyes. Right? And then if you play that into the workplace, for example, your CEO, when you see him in the kitchen, make eye contact, say good morning. You don't need to go into a long conversation. Don't claim to have done horse riding if you didn't, because he's going to ask you about the breed of horse. You're like,
it was brown.
It was chestnut brown. Right? But just make eye contact.
Yeah.
You need to understand. And again, if you go to Asia, you need to then, everyone just go onto just Google Ofsted cultural dimensions, and you can put your country, or i.e. the country or influence that you've been raised in, and the country that you're either living in or intending to live in. And actually it shows you as graphs, and then it gives the explanations. It tells you, okay, this is where you're coming from, but actually where you live, they don't really give about all of that stuff. Just get on with it. So
yeah, no, I get that. That's a very interesting thing. I remember the first time you actually showed me, I was like,
you're like, oh my God, what is this?
No, because I was telling you how I was telling Mary guys about how I feel, I guess, sometimes shy, or I feel like there's a way that I can speak to Mary so freely, but when it's someone else's, or I struggle, or I get I feel like I shouldn't be talking to them because they're very, very much higher ups. Yeah. Especially with leadership teams, it's so hard to see them and be myself. I literally become a different person. I'm very bubbly, but as soon as I see someone from LT, I'm just retreat. Like, I literally get into my shell. And I was trying to figure out where this literally came from, because It's true. In order to build social capital, I have to be able to speak to them, right?
You've got to be visible.
Yeah.
If you're not visible, people don't remember you.
So, but now I'm thinking a bit about the other way as well, about doing the most. So when you are visible, but you're also doing too much.
Fair,
that
you're not coming to work to do the most. Yeah, you're not coming to work to do the most, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So,
but some people would want to get promoted, or they might think that them doing a lot means that the CEO notices them. Next thing you know, if any position becomes available, they can be recommended for that.
Most people that don't get promoted for one of two reasons, in my opinion. A, have you told people that you're looking to be promoted? This happens a lot to us women, by the way. We're like, I'm so good at what I do. Oh, I deserve that job. But does anyone know that you want to be promoted? Because there's different people at work, different types of employees. Some employees just want to come in, do their job and go home. Please don't talk to me. Don't call me. Literally,
I know a lot of friends like that.
Yeah, yep. I'm here to do my job. And that's fine.
Yeah.
They don't want progression. They just want to do their job.
Yeah.
Some people are here for the progression. And some people, guess what? Work is an escape from their reality. You need to understand which bucket people fit into. So if you're one of those middle people that want to be promoted, let people know. Make noise about the fact that you want to be promoted. One of two things will happen. Either you get promoted and learn on the job, or someone will have a very honest conversation and tell you why you can't be promoted right now, but what you need to do if you're really serious about getting promoted. So yeah, you don't need to do the most. Let people know that you want to be promoted. And again, learn what skills, what is valued in this place, and try and embody that while staying true to yourself, by the way. Yeah.
And that's also very hard as well, staying true to yourself and learning other things sometimes, because it gets so hard to separate the two.
Yeah. So I think it's about boundaries. I mean, it's no secret that I don't do socializing after work. I find the social stuff really drains me. But I can build, so I put more effort into building social. If I'm in a workplace that I really value and I think, oh yeah, this is a place I want to stay, I make sure I make those relationships during office hours. I'm a foodie. We do lunches. So you do lunches. People can get to know you over lunch.
And that has drained my bank account, but it's okay.
Don't worry about that. But yeah, you can do other things during work without, having to. If going out after work is not true to you, don't do it because you think, oh, if I don't go to the pub after work, they won't promote me. There's other people that can't go to work. And it's not because they're parents. Some people have elderly parents at home that they're responsible for. Some people are studying after work. Companies paying for it. They can't go to the pub. Okay. So you're almost putting yourself in a box thinking, oh my God, everybody's going to the pub. How do you know? You didn't go to the pub, so you don't know how many people went to the pub.
Yeah. I mean, redefining privilege is such a big thing because social capital, I guess, is really overlooked. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we're so selfish in the fact that all we care about is ourselves. But what I'm trying to say is we don't even realize that other people can help us, that we try to do everything on our own. Yeah.
And then most people reach out to their network when they want a job.
Exactly.
Or when they want a connection.
You don't realize that you have to build it. It has to be such a natural thing as well. And thank you so much for mentioning that. That takes us to the end of this episode. Yep. Hopefully we'll be able to talk more about these things in the next one as well. But definitely. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.